meeting is January, oh, Happy New Year, sorry about that. January 18th, 2023. I can honestly tell you I'm glad to be back. It's been a roller coaster, but I'm not going to go through all the details. It's just good to be back. We will start with a call to order and a roll call by our illustrious secretary.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Present.
Commissioner Gomez is not here. Vice Chair Shively,
Here.
Chair Hammond.
Here, believe it or not, I'm here.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll just do a moment of silence and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Jimenez, if he would stand. Don't mind me today, so I might forget a few things. It's been 4 months. So I have an illustrious staff who'll help me out, I'm sure. They'll let me know. Number 5 is presentation. I don't believe we have a presentation. Okay. And we move on to consent calendar. Planning Commission minutes for December 21st, 2022. Are there any corrections, deletions, additions to it?
I didn't see any.
I have none.
I didn't see any.
Okay, there are none. Okay. At this time, do we have we open up a public hearing on the consent calendar? I remember. A hearing on the consent calendar. Is any member of the public like to come forward at this time on consent calendar only? We close the public comment portion. We ask for a motion. If I can get this here. I'm sorry, we have a motion for approval, consent calendar, item A.
I'll make a motion. The buttons are not up.
I'll second it.
Okay, there we go. And seconded by Commissioner Lopez, moved by Vice Chair Shively. Okay. And it's time for the vote.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Abstain.
With 3 yeses and 0 nos, this motion passes.
Thank you very much. At this time, we move on to the public hearing portion of it. Development Plan Review 21-00008. A proposal to construct a 142,955 square foot industrial building on 6.93 acres located at the northwest corner of Harley Knox Boulevard and Las Palmas Avenue in the light industrial zone of the Paris Valley Commerce Center. Oh, I should put it here. A plan, APN 300-100-002. Applicant Michael Johnson, Chartwell Development. Requested action, adopt resolution, I'm not sure it's the right number, 23-01, adopting the mitigated negative declaration number 2378, and the mitigation monitoring and reported program, and approving development plan review 21-00008 to facilitate construction of a 142,955 square foot industrial based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval. Is there any ex parte communication revealed or site visits?
I've driven by the site.
It's Commissioner Shively.
None for me.
Commissioner Jimenez, I've driven by the site.
And Chairman Hammond, I have driven by the site. Believe it or not, I actually drove by the site. Okay. Okay, at this time, and you're new to me, so just to introduce yourself, we have one of our planners to introduce this one.
Hi, my name is Douglas Finn, and been with the, can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay. I've been with the Paris Planning Department now for the past about 4 months now. I'm with Interwest, and the Happy New Year. And the item before you is for, I kind of now refer to these as infill development, because you've had a lot of development within the past 6 years in the city. And it's a Lake Creek Industrial Project, is actually Michael Johnson of Lake Creek Industrial, not Chartwell, is the applicant. And the site is approximately 6.9 acres. It's located in the Paris Valley Commercial Center Specific Plan. It's zone light industrial. The APN is 302-100-002. Surrounding land uses is to the north is our competitor, the city of Moreno Valley. To the east, industrial businesses. South, vacant across Harley Knox Boulevard is vacant land, and to the west is a small nursery landscape business, and Beyond Market is just recently under construction. And this is as seen from the southwest corner. I specifically selected this so you could see basically the whole site from Harley Knox. This site plan is for 142,995 square feet. Semi-truck access is off of Las Palmas, and the auto access is off of Harley Knox. There is no commingling or issue with auto and truck. It's very isolated, and it works quite well. I'm just going to do a little experiment, see if this works. And it doesn't. But also to the north there, it says outdoor amenity area. That's for horseshoe pit and also outdoor seating. On the floor plans, it does not depict, but we do have a condition that they will have, when they go through plan check, to have the interior amenity for the employees. And then they'll be in conformance with the code. This is in concert with PVCC's SP development standards. As far as just for an example, I'm not going to read all of these because they're already in the staff report, and I'm sure it's really exciting to read this stuff. Building height is limited to 50 feet, and their highest point is 45 feet. Parking, they exceed the required parking. Required parking is 56 parking spaces. They propose 32, so they exceed by 32 spaces. This is a nice rendering. This is from the southwest corner, as you would see it from Harley Knox, and this is where their the tenant office is. And on the other end of that it reflects the same type of architectural skin, and I'll get into that later. On this material board, I do have a material board with you up there on the dais. And this is basically the same thing. This talks about they have different type of materials. It has a sandblasted concrete. It has aluminum clad canopy with brushed stainless steel. It has brick accents. It's a P-2. There they have a different type of a gray brick. And it has the accent blue Dignity accent color on the building itself, in addition to glazing blue reflective and spandrel and vision glass. This is wrapped with 360-degree architecture, so there's no portion of the building where it's just plain. Even the loading area has that type of material throughout the whole project. This gives you a better idea. If you see all the elevations, the top one, the Harley Knox southern elevation, basically is what you'll see from the street. You can, and then you can see that even the loading area, there is a lot of definition and carry over of the colors and materials. And then the sides of the building, especially from Las Palmas, there's more attention to detail because it's visible from the right of way. This is my favorite slide because it has my favorite color, purple. So the landscape plan, I want to bring this out that it's drought tolerant, and I went through my little sunset book that I've had for 30 years just to make sure that what they're calling out is actually drought tolerant. It is, it even has agave, and you have at least 8 different shrubs and bushes, and they vary in height, and so you have a texturing, kind of like a tier look from the street, so it's not like all the same. And it will be massively planted, but you have to remember a lot of times when people go out there and see it when it's built, a lot of the projects are like, oh, there's not enough plant material. It's like, yeah, well, they need to grow a little bit, but they do overplant these because, unfortunately, I don't know if you have this problem here in the city. Sometimes there's theft of material, so you have to overplant. But it meets our code. I'd like to give kudos out to the team that worked on the CEQA mitigated negative declaration. I'm the Johnny come lately. I've only been on this project for about 3 months, and it's been in for 2 months, for 2 years, and it's had like, I think, 4 different planners. So we've gone through to make sure you have all the right and correct information. So we notified everybody within 300 feet. We did the NOI and then also did the property owners list for that notification. And for within the circulation, we did get a comment from the AQMD district. Basically, it's kind of like their standard boilerplate that, cumulative impacts, like, this whole area is building out. Well, yeah, it's the city and the city adjacent to another city. And they've addressed that and sent it back to AQMD. Technically, by law, I don't have to send that back to them, but we just did, just to customer service, I guess. So the adopt the resolution, we recommend 2301. This is the first resolution, so hopefully this is a good omen. Adopt the mitigated negative declaration 2378 and approve the development review plan 21000081 with the attached resolution that's before you. And that concludes my staff report.
Thank you very much. I think I was supposed to, this.
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Chair.
there's one other item. I knew I was going to forget something. We got some last minute, I guess basically we do have the conditions that were in the
Right.
staff report, but these are basically more codified and professional looking, and as opposed to having it look like an email. And I've already discussed them with the applicant, and we're on board. And I told him if there's any questions in the future, just to let me know, because I'll be doing the CD plan review on this project too.
Okay, just for the record, the conditions of approval was handed to us, just for the record, January 18th. I'm not going to read the whole entire thing. DPR 21-000008, Lake Creek Industrial LLC, NWC Harley Knox Boulevard, Las Palmas, and I don't need to go to APN. But this was handed to us by directions of the engineer, so just including that into the meeting.
Correct.
Okay, and
Yes,
just as you said, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, are there any questions for staff? Questions for staff at this time?
I have questions.
Okay, Commissioner Lopez?
Thank you for the presentation. My first question is in regards to the project analysis. It stated that the March Air Reserve base is inconsistent with this project. Can you explain why it was marked as inconsistent?
On which page?
This is going to be 2 out of 5.
Because it's in District D, as attached, as shown in the resolution, and that is the low impact. It's not the medium or the high impact, so that could be a,
So what does that mean for?
Commissioner Lopez, if I can clarify, that was
Yeah.
just an an error on our part.
Oh, so
It is-
that
it
one's
is
supposed to be
consistent, yes,
consistent?
so
Yeah,
I
it is
apologize for
consistent.
the
Got you.
confusion.
Okay, no problem. I have another question, and in regards to condition of approval number 23, I believe there's a typo on that one for HVAC. It's misspelled.
for HVAC?
Yeah, correct. Number 23, condition of approval.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. And then I have another question in regards to condition of approval number 28. It's saying that It's in regards to specific plan for, is there a specific plan for the off-site tree planting in regards to this project, or is that up to the city's discretion? Like, do you guys have already a plan with this one? Or how does that work? Yeah, number 28. Oh, there is?
Can you repeat that question?
Off-site
so-
tree planting and funding, I think that's what you're
So is there a
referring
specific plan connected to this project in particular, or is it, it's kind of,
There's no specific plan, there's no specific project associated with the funding at this point. So if the city has a tree planting project at a park, and if the timing works right, then they would participate in providing that tree at a park. But if we don't have a project in place by the time this project starts the permit process for construction, then what we would do is ask them to give us an estimate to review, and then we would take that funding and put it into a separate account, so whenever we wanted to do a park project, and that would be applied there.
got you, so the applicant is already providing the funds for the trees?
I think the condition states that prior to grading or building permit, prior to building permit, so it would be at that
Early
timing.
process, okay,
Yeah.
got you. My last question is in regards to the landscaping. What exactly was your guys', what am I trying to say? Like, what were you guys' thinking and plan in choosing these type of plants? Were they native to the area, or, because I know they're aligned with the drought-resistant plants, right?
Yes,
But they're native to this area, they prosper in this area?
they grow in this zone.
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
Okay, all right,
like if you look in the Sunset book, I'm sure a lot of you might have for
Yeah,
your
yeah.
own personal use. It's,
okay.
and if it's not, when it goes through the CD process, that's the reason why you have plan check. That's what plan check's for.
Got you. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
to. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Commissioner?
Can you fill me in on the process that you had with the applicant regarding the exterior elevations and material selection and color selection? Did you have any?
That was most likely about a couple of years ago. I wasn't around, but if you look at a lot of the industrial-type projects, you know, they ask for like a minimum of 2, like sandblast or a stone, and they have multiple materials. I don't know what previous discussions were with staff or if there were any.
Okay, but you didn't have any?
No.
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay. Commissioner Mendes, did you have any?
Can we go back to the elevation?
The
Not
picture?
elevation, the one that shows the traffic flow, please.
The one that shows the,
And
oh,
ingress and
the
egress.
truck
I
in the
just put a
auto?
candy in my mouth.
That's fine.
So where the outdoor amenity areas, I just want to clarify, that is a gate, right? That's kind of separating the
Yes.
big rig. So there won't be, you know where I'm going.
I know
there.
where you're going with it. Yeah,
Yes.
lock, knock, yeah, the fire lock, knock
Yes.
spots.
And then also the pedestrian safety when they're crossing over to use that outdoor amenity. I like that it's not where there's high traffic. And can we go to the elevations, please?
This elevation or the?
This one, yes.
Exhibit one?
This one. So I just want to clarify when I'm looking at these. Very top one, this is the one that we will
From the
see
street.
as we're driving
Yeah.
through the street. And that is really the only
Prominent.
prominent one that we will see from the street.
Well, and Las Palmas will be the other one,
In Las Palmas, yes.
yeah. If I'm saying that right, yeah.
Okay.
That'd be the east side.
Was there any discussions about kind of mimicking that elevation that we have on the left side of the screen towards the right hand of the?
Maybe the applicant
screen?
might know.
Okay.
Because like I said, I've only been 3 months on this, and it was basically, the work was done, doing the noticing, getting ready for the hearing. They will probably have a history of who they talked to and what was decided.
Perfect. You answered all my questions during your presentation, so, oh, there was a typo, again, on the
Okay.
conditions of approval 28. On the bottom where it says something at, it's missing the A.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Conditions of approval, not the engineer. The off-site treating?
The offsite? Such cost, discretion. The discretion
Oh,
should be at the
yeah.
discretion.
Yeah, okay. Those we can fix. Okay,
It's easy
Okay.
ones.
okay. I may have a few for the engineer. See, I come back and I'm already a nuisance, so.
Yeah.
Not gonna be bad. A lot of questions were already answered, not much. I even looked at the SU, SE, AQ, anybody want nighttime sleeping, read that stuff. I think it goes back to Harley Knox, and I think this is an engineer question. A clarification, and you know where I'm going, so I'm just still doing it publicly. At that end, all pedestrian, or I should say vehicle passenger traffic is going to have to travel east and go down to Redlands and make a U-turn, or they'll have to figure out a way to get around because Redlands dead ends and you have to come back in order to get into the property on Harley Knox. Am I correct? Number two, there's a median that you talk about being proposed on Harley Knox at that point, which prohibits people from turning left in. So is there a median proposed at Harley Knox from, if you look at a picture of this property, a median that would be in the center street that would stop all left turn traffic? Is that what we're proposing?
Good evening, Commissioner Hammond. Welcome back.
Yeah, really?
And planning commissioners. There's an existing raised landscape median on Harley Knox.
Yeah,
So with this project, there will be a break in the median. And there will be a designated left turn lane
right.
to go north, kind of be eastbound, going north onto Las Palmas. At that point, autos may want to do a U-turn. I don't think the traffic study analyzed that. But if you wish, we can request as a condition from the applicant to analyze that movement.
Yeah.
If it's feasible, they can make a U-turn at that location. Otherwise, we can condition it to restrict no U-turn at that point. And then, yes, they would have to go eastbound on Harley Knox and make a U-turn at Redlands to access the site.
Okay, appreciate that. So at least, you know, if it doesn't warrant it, that's something we can, that's a consideration. If it does warrant it, because otherwise, I mean, you have to go even farther south to go up if you're a passenger vehicle. The truck's obviously going to turn left at Las Palmas. That's the choice. That makes sense. It's just the passenger. You know, we're all law-abiding citizens here. Yeah, knock on several wood. And they wouldn't do things like that. Yeah, right. Okay. So if you're not going to, there was other projects long before I took off, other projects that same consideration. Trucks are one thing. It's just passenger vehicles that's not the same because this is a truck area. We expect trucks to turn left. But if that were a four-way stop, then we have an issue. Okay? So it just has to be clearly stated that, you know, the trucks can obviously turn left. That's the whole point of having a left turn lane there. But the passenger vehicles, and it could be, you know, depending on the size of this and how many employees, they're talking about, you know, the tendency. Is that a nice way of putting it? You might be tempted, I'm being very nice today, tempted to make that turn there. Now, I'm saying you should, but I'm just saying you might be tempted, okay? And we in Paris get tempted to do things. So that's the only point there. So that's very important because obviously developers on the south side, if they're going to do it, then they would have to contribute to whatever else would be there as well. So if that may be one of those conditions for them to do. Otherwise, I think there was a issue with SCQ. I like to pick on them anyway. SCQMD. Is that what they call it? SCQMD, Southern California Air Quality Management District. Okay. They talked about a residence there, and there really isn't. I think there's a trailer there, and it's one of those old, looks like a 1950s, 60s trailer. It's way, way more than 150 feet, 300 feet. So I think they kind of corrected their own thing there. I think we did excellent job environmental too, very specific. But that it's important to note that because we don't want to make it sound like we're building something and there's a residence sitting right there. there was a property south of there that we did, and the resident was there, but nobody was living there, because I know I went there and saw it. So we want to be, that's a minor point, but it is a major point. You don't want to be near residences and not have some buffer. So, you know, we don't want them, let them make the mistake. We don't want to make that mistake. But they should have really noted that themselves, that was not. Because when you do the sensitive receptors, that's one of the places you would go, is to the residents. And if there's no residents there, why are we talking about it in a study? And that's something the city should be studying. Okay. But anyway, that was it. And I'm being real nice first meeting. You did, and I'm not going to talk about the lights, just like I'm just pointing out things that might be important, and that's one of those issues that's going to come up, is left turns and right turns and U-turns. And we don't want to be saying it's okay to do it as a commission. No, we're not saying it's okay to take U-turns. We're just saying we have to look at it and see what's feasible there, and if it's not, then if it warrants a signal, so be it. You know, but there's going to be a lot of trucks. You know, there already is a lot of trucks, and then you're talking beyond Mart, which is going on the corner, and if you're going that direction, you can probably turn left on Paris and go into it, unless they're opening it, the same thing. So if you put medians there, you kind of obstruct things, but on the other hand, you don't want people making it, so it's kind of a catch-22. You know, what's the safety factor? Do you allow it or you don't allow it? Yeah. It's not you, I know you, just like me. But that was one of the only issues, and everything else I didn't have a question about. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, does the developer proposer have a presentation or anything that they are to state? If so, state your name and spell your last name for us. You should probably use that, but yeah.
Good evening. My name is Christine Saunders, Saunders, and I'm representing the applicant Lake Creek Industrial. And thank you, Chair Hammond and the Planning Commission and staff for working with us on this project. Like Doug mentioned, it has been a long time coming, and so we're happy to be here tonight. And we appreciate Doug's work on getting the last couple months to get all of the loose ends tied up so that we can come here with you tonight. The just couple items that I would like to address, there was a question about the left turn pocket, and that was included in an access study that was provided, and so that's attached to the M&D. The analysis showed that 85% of the inbound cars would make that U-turn. 15% would come from Redlands, making a left and then right into Harley Knox or into the entrance. And that would only be 12 passenger cars per peak hour that would make that U-turn move. So there was no impact in the traffic study for that. The other items that I wanted to address is just acknowledging that the applicant has reviewed and accepted the conditions of approval. And that's about it. I think everything else is pretty straightforward.
Thank you very much. And are there any questions or comments for the proposer?
There's a request on the fencing and screening.
Vice Chair Shively, just in case you.
That it's requested, what's proposed is an 8-foot-high tubular fence along the east and west of the property lines. And then the staff is recommending that the proposed height, 8-foot-high tubular fence be increased to a 14-foot-high block wall to screen the truck loading area as well, in addition to the 14-foot-high decorative block wall on the northern property, which is bordering Miranda Valley. Is there any issue with that occurring as well?
So my understanding is that the request is for a concrete block wall on the eastern property line. That's an interior property line, but is visible from the knuckle of the cul-de-sac. So we would want to use the same concrete tilt-up material that is on the screen walls that are the wing walls to the gate. So that would just round the corner of being the same material. As far as the northern property line, the proposal is for an 8-foot tubular steel fence, and that's my understanding of what staff was supportive of as well. That northerly lot is landlocked essentially, and it's City of Moreno Valley. The applicant does own that property as well, so there wouldn't be any third party that would be accessing that site.
So in here, it says a decorative block wall, and you're actually going to put a tilt-up wall instead of a block wall, just to clarify.
Yes, that would be a clarification that we would like from staff to, thank you for pointing that out, just so that it would match the same material as the wing walls of the gate.
Yeah, number 36, I think number 36 in COA has,
36?
I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, so just clarifying, as opposed to decorative block to be a concrete tilt-up.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
So we got the color scheme. I forget what that's called, the sample.
Apple board.
And I'm looking at the color, what is that? P5. And on here, it's like, it looks different on the screen, so I guess I want clarification whether it's the color that I see on the screen, on that page. See, because it kind of looks like a darker blue here, but when we go to the elevation that we were just looking at, it was like a really bright blue that really didn't go with the color scheme. So I don't know if the applicant can work with
Was it P5 or P6?
P5.
P5.
Oh, see, on here it says P5 and on here it says P6.
Okay, thank you. I'm like,
P6 is the dignity
Maybe
blue.
7, 8?
yeah, okay, so are you referring to P6, the Dignity Blue?
Yes, yes, yes.
So the comment is just that it's kind of a brighter version. Are you going
I
with
want
something?
clarification of what it looks like because when we looked at the elevation here, it kind of clashed with the color scheme.
I think that the rendering is probably the best showing of that material, which I think you see on your screen now.
I don't know if we can work with staff to pick a color that's a little bit more muted and goes more with the color schemes in that area, because that blue kind of,
Where the blue pops out a little bit, but however, I think the color scheme, even though we have
Yeah.
4 colors, I think is somewhat muted. Maybe a different color palette or different changes or different material, maybe around the entrances. At the 2 corners of the property, maybe they can be metal panel or something like that besides I think it's a P2 gray color. Maybe they can be changed to a different material. Yeah, you have them as aluminum,
yeah.
but then the P3 as well is,
So there's
Yeah, the P3 is a brick.
P6, yeah. So P6. Says P, yeah.
Yeah, the Dignity Blue is the brightest blue. Yeah, I think the applicant would be amenable to working with staff to finding the right color scheme if there needs to be some adjustment. I think that would be fine.
okay, thank
Okay.
you.
That was my only question, thank you.
So just, because that's going to be me, you're going to wind up mauve. So you're saying the bottom P, make it less, more, just tone it down?
Yes.
Okay.
I like the accents, but I think where they're placed in this case, it just kind of doesn't accent, it just kind of stands out. So something that accents the colors.
Which particular piece
Well, I mean P5, 6,
P5.
whatever you
Yeah,
want to call
Dignity
it.
Blue.
Dignity blue.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything further, Commissioner? Okay. I think the questions pretty much asked were answered. And appreciate it. Anyone? That's it. Okay. At this time, we open it up for public comment on this particular item. I'm going to do something I haven't done in 4 months. Are there anybody on Zoom and our IT staff there?
No, sir.
Okay. No, sir, I like that. Anyone from our audience or have any comments they'd like to make, particularly on this item? 7A only. Okay. Seeing none, we close the public comment portion, and I should say public hearing, and come to the commissioners for discussion, comments. Now you can go into it.
I just want to piggyback off of what Commissioner Jimenez said with the colors. I agree with her color choice. Also, I I do like the landscaping, the design and the colors that the plants that were chosen. I feel like it gives a lot of lively colorway and color palette, especially the purple. Purple is my favorite color as well. I just want to make one request for the box trees. Some of them are 24 inches. If we could upgrade them to 36, if possible. And besides that, everything looks okay.
36 feet. For the whole thing?
All of them, yes.
Okay. All right, you ready? All right, you want to go first?
I guess I am also a bit concerned about that U-turn, hearing that it was included in the study. It's only 12 cars during peak hours, but that is still a little bit concerning because Hartley Knox is a traffic route. There's a lot of big rigs there. So just the potential is a little bit concerning. But I'll support whatever my fellow commissioners would like to do. I really appreciate that there isn't commingling between big rigs and the passenger vehicles. Staff safety was thought about, so it's in the breakout areas in the space where it's safe to cross. There won't be a lot of risk. But I am a little bit concerned about that U-turn.
Okay, good. And Vice Chair Shively, did you?
Again, I would definitely like the applicant to work with staff to definitely pep up the exterior elevations and colors and maybe a material palette as well. To me, it's very muted, even though the one blue color does stand out. It needs to be a better appearance. It is not to the other standards that we currently have with other warehouse buildings that we have recently approved. So it needs to be definitely upgraded to meet those standards that we provided. So the location is fine. I believe it's very well suited for it. That along Hartley Knox Boulevard is fine with the truck traffic as well. It's very apt for that location. So I don't have too many issues with this project other than that.
Thank you, sir. And my only comments, and one of it is going to be joking because it's a new year. I wouldn't care if it's a 40-foot wall that separated Moreno Valley, quite frankly. So if it's a 40-foot wall, put a 40-foot wall because you know how I feel about Moreno Valley. Not less than Menifee. I'm very upfront. I will tell you how I feel. I'm just pro-Paris person, okay? Other than that, and I may, even if I have to reopen for public hearing, I would concur, because I did bring it up first, at the very least, consider the study about that intersection. We know our city and we know what's going to happen. So we live here, okay? And so we're probably, unlike any person working here, we live here. So we can tell you, it may not seem like a lot in the study, but the study's not there 24/7, 365 days a year. I think it warrant for a study to determine it, or even have to go into funding for the other projects may have to contribute to it, but at least some study to see whether that intersection does warrant it specifically for a signal. And if it's not necessary, it's not necessary. But we would feel comfortable at least if there was a study done in conjunction with our wonderful engineer here who's putting up with me for the first day back. That would be something that I think would appease at least us, because we've seen even on the other side of Hartley Knox, on the other side, a lot of cars. And when you talk beyond Mart, it's going to be even more cars. So don't think there's going to be less. I don't care what the study says. In Paris, you're going to have vehicles. It's just going to happen. And we don't want to say, make a U-turn as a commission on record. Oh, it's okay to make a U-turn in the intersection. I'm not going to be a tribute to that. I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm going to say, let's do the study, let the study speak for itself. And then if it goes above us and they don't mind, that's fine. But we are not going to be liable for saying, yeah, make U-turns in an intersection. It's not going to happen. Not with me. So unless you guys wanted to go down for that, I'm not.
No.
So I'd rather be on the safe side and say, let's at least look at it. And if the state or whatever decides It's not there, it's off our hands. And it may not be, but trucks turn left, and it's gonna be more trucks and more development to the south. You're gonna have that, and that's gonna be an important intersection. Just at least to say that we have something in writing that says it does or does not warrant it. That would be my only thing to add to this. Other than that, I'm good.
In addition to that, I think we do need to update item 20, the graffiti and property maintenance.
20.
The graffiti that needs to be cleaned up. This passage here is not to what our current standards is, and I believe our current standard is that we need to be painted in complete panel sections,
Oh, yeah.
Are we there?
and the graffiti coating as well. So that item 20 needs to be updated to our current standards.
Did it without me being here, isn't that nice?
But I mean, this was an older
I'm
one
just-
too. So it almost got through.
Okay, good catch. Did you guys catch that one?
Yes, when I was reading over it, I thought it included that language in panels, not patches and graffiti coating.
So I'm just looking at number 20 of conditions of approval. Graffiti
It does say
property maintenance.
panels.
This project shall comply with the Paris Municipal Code, Chapter 7.2 regarding property maintenance. The site shall be maintained and graffiti stayed at all times. Graffiti located on site shall be removed within 48 hours. Okay, it does say panels and not patches in addition to the, but I think the graffiti coating is not in there as well.
I think the last sentence has it.
Graffiti and code, yeah, anti-graffiti coating on walls.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it does. Maybe, I don't know, I missed it. It's a new year.
Okay, so that pretty much,
It's good.
okay. Okay. So it pretty much says it, I think it says. Okay.
Just want to clarify the follow-up intersection study, was that Las Palmas and Harley Knox? Okay.
Thank you very much. And at this time, there doesn't seem to be anything else to add. Time for a vote.
Before we make a
Oh,
vote,
hold
can
on.
we have the additions that we want to add in?
Right, you guys normally read it, and good luck.
Do you want to summarize? I have my notes.
You don't want my notes.
Oops. So number one is to include the revised engineering conditions of approval presented by staff. Number two, conduct an intersection study at Las Palmas and Harley Knox. Number three, upgrade 24-inch box trees to 36-inch box trees. Item number four, applicant shall work with staff on a different color scheme and accent materials for the building. Item number five, condition number 36 shall be revised. Item number A, the decorative screen walls to change from block wall to tilt-up wall.
Okay, I just want to interject, clarify this. I heard some of the 24 to 36. You're saying all of the 36? Because that's kind of
Yeah, whichever
steep.
ones are possible, because I know sometimes the 36 are not available, so.
Right.
If it is
24.
available, prefer
Where
36.
feasible.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
I'm not sure you want to clarify the HVAC spelling.
I was
for
just
point
about to
number
get to that
23,
one, yeah.
Yes.
Number 23, the HVAC.
And then 28, the at
Yeah.
spelling.
There was something about consistency was marked in the M&D, where it says consistent and inconsistent.
Yes, we'll make that modification in the staff
Okay.
report. Thank you.
It's hard to get them all. Because I write on the side and all of it. Yeah. Okay. We good? We good. Okay. We're ready, man. Well, I should. What am I looking at here? Gotta get back into this. Hold a second. Okay, recommendation, adopt resolution number 23-01, adopting mitigated negative declaration number 2378, and approving developmental plan review 21-00008 to allow construction of 142,995 square foot industrial warehouse building on approximately 6.93 acres of land located at the southwest corner of Ryder Street. What am I talking about? That's what was I meant to have changed. That's the one, okay,
Is that the one you wanted to change?
yeah. Okay, wrong one. Okay, that's what I was looking at.
Put it on the page.
Okay, there we go. 23 dash, it was something about 23-01, but anyway, 23-01, adopting mitigated, that's right,
You were right.
yeah, and 23, to facilitate construction of 142,955 square foot industrial based on the findings and subject to condition of approval and the changes and amended, which we will now go back and read again. Okay. Now it's right. Okay, we need a motion.
You can verbal. The buttons are not available for us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Vice Chair Shively, yeah, that's why I couldn't. Vice Chair Shively is moved. Need a second.
I second.
I didn't make a motion.
Hmm?
I did not make a
Oh, I thought
motion.
I saw your name there. Okay.
No, it came up, but I didn't make a
Oh, I'm
motion.
still seeing your name. Okay.
I stated that the buttons are not available.
Oh. Okay, so we still need a motion.
Jimenez, I motion.
Okay, Commissioner Jimenez, and we need a second.
I'll second.
And seconded by Commissioner Lopez. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes?
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With 4 yeses and 0 nos, this motion passes.
Thank you very much. We move to item 7B.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Oh, hold a second.
I'm here.
Okay, we're getting the buttons straight here. Specific Plan Amendment 22, we got to go through the bureaucracy here. Specific Plan Amendment 22-05052, tentative parcel map 22-05029, TPM 38386, and Development Plan Review 20-00020. A proposal to consider the following entitlements to facilitate the construction of a 334,040 square foot industrial warehouse on a 20.14 acre site located on the west side of Reslands Avenue between East Ryder Street and Placentia Avenue. In the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, 1 specific plan amendment to remove Russell Way, a paper unimproved cul-de-sac. I think we got cut off here. All right, I have to go to from the circulation plan. Okay, that's all I see, so that's all I'll go by. Okay. Was there any ex parte communication or any site visits or anything in the?
I've driven by the site.
Okay.
There was more.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna
right here.
I'm gonna go to the.
It'll pop up in a second. There it goes. It's on our screen.
Thank you. Okay.
Ended up at circulation.
Yeah, I'm going all over the place here. Where was I? Russell. Development plan review. Okay. Tentative parcel map and merge 8 existing parcels into one. Development plan review for the site plan and building elevations. APN 300-250-010-010, 012, 013, 014, 015, and 016. The applicant Michael Johnson of Lake Creek Industrial LLC. Requested action, adopt resolution 22-25, recommending that the city council adopt a mitigated negative declaration number 2377 and the mitigation and monitoring and reporting program, and approve specific plan amendment 22-05052. Say that 3 times. Tentative parcel map 22-05029, TPM 38386, and development plan review 20-00020 to facilitate the construction of a 334,040 square foot industrial warehouse distribution building based on the findings and the conditions of approval. Once again, was there any ex parte communications or dry site visits? I think you had started.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Lopez. I've driven by the site.
Okay.
None for me.
Commissioner Jimenez, I have also driven by the site.
And Chairman Hammond, I've driven by the site. Thank you. Okay. And we have a presentation. It's been a long time, but a presentation.
Video. Good evening, Commissioners. I apologize for making you read that whole thing.
Oh, yeah, right.
The item before you tonight is a specific plan amendment and development plan review, as well as tentative parcel map. The applicant is also Lake Creek Industrial. Specifically, that is specific plan amendment 22-05052. This is required to remove Russell Way, which is, as you said, a paper unimproved cul-de-sac from the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, circulation plan. Tentative parcel map 22-05029 to merge 8 parcels into 1 parcel. Development plan review 20-00020 for a site plan and building elevation review for a 334,040 square foot non-refrigerated industrial warehouse, and mitigated negative declaration number 2377 to evaluate and mitigate potential environmental impacts resulting from the project. As you can see, the project is located about midway on the west side of Redlands Avenue between Ryder Street and Placentia Avenue. It is also located in the light industrial zone of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, and adjacent to an area zoned R10,000 that is actually located outside of the specific plan area. The project is located in Zone B2 of the MARB Airport Land Use Map, and it has actually gone through ALOC review and had been conditionally approved by ALOC. Those conditions are included in the planning conditions that are attached to the resolution. As you can see from the site plan here, we have truck access from a northerly and southerly drive. Those trucks will be routed north along Redlands Avenue, west to Indian, and then south to Placentia, and then in the reverse to get to the site. Additionally, auto access, passenger vehicle access and parking is completely separate and taken from the middle driveway. We also have an outdoor amenity bocce courts located on the north side of the building, and an indoor employee amenity located on the south side inside the building. As you can see from this detail here, this is the industrial site just to the north, adjacent to the north. And so what we're showing here is the SCE trail on the west side of those properties, as well as that 14-foot block wall. The applicants will be continuing that decomposed granite trail and 14-foot block wall along the entirety of the western edge of the property. And they will also continue the 14-foot block wall around the entire truck court on the south side, so that's going to be completely screened from view. As you can see here from the current development standards, the project is in exceedance of all of the development standards all of the setbacks, height, as well as landscaping, and is also providing 20 surplus parking spaces, as well as truck parking, which is not required. For the elevations, if you look at the third one down, that's going to be your Redlands Avenue facing frontage. And then the one just below that is the rear of the site. For landscaping, we are including, sorry, I wanted to make sure that I had this written down for you. The frontage along Redlands Avenue will include shoestring acacia, palo verdes, Chinese flame trees, crepe myrtles, and African sumac, and then Brisbane box trees against the frontage of the building. We did receive some comment letters during the public comment period for the mitigated negative declaration. We had a neighbor that was concerned about air quality, projects from the trucks. We had a comment letter from the Riverside Transit Agency that it was just a comment to include sidewalk along the project frontage, which was already proposed. Blum Collins submitted an initial letter and then withdrew that letter. We did also get a letter from the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice regarding air quality impacts and the potential use for transport refrigeration units, which we've actually conditioned the project to not have refrigeration. SCQM AMD also kind of put their standard letter out there for the project, and just an individual, Adam Salcido, sent an email asking for notification on progress of the project. The response to comments were prepared and included in the final M&D, which was included on the project website, or the city website. None of the comments or responses constituted any significant new information or met any of the conditions that would require recirculation of the M&D. That concludes the presentation, and so staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 22-25, recommending that the City Council adopt mitigated negative declaration number 2237 and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, as well as approve specific plan amendment 22-05052, approve tentative parcel map 22-05029, and approve development plan review 20-00020. Thank you. I can answer any questions as well as the applicant.
Thank you very much. And we can go down the line or whatever you guys want to do. Any questions, not discussions, but any questions or comments or suggestions for staff at this time?
So my first question is in regards to the truck route. Is Placentia Avenue considered a truck route?
It is.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
so trucks will be going down.
Yes, so actually,
of the
if you look at your screen, I've highlighted in yellow what the truck route will be.
Yeah, we probably need some clarification on that because I've heard two different conflicting things about Placentia. Engineer may want to.
Commissioner Hammond, Commissioners. Commissioner Lopez, this truck route, however, the connection is not in place at this time. In the future, when Placentia opens, the interchange is open, but only to up to Indian right now. But if it does open, this route is permissible. They can continue on Placentia all the way to Redlands, however. But
Let me
this-
clarify that. You mean, follow the yellow, the yellow lines, they can only use Placentia to Indian Avenue and go up north. It doesn't cross Paris Boulevard because there's residents there, so they couldn't do a direct connection to Redlands Avenue from Placentia Avenue.
Got you. So from Redlands, they can't go south from the project site.
Right.
Got you.
Right,
Alright.
that's what we're having them go north to Morgan, then over to Indian and down to Placentia.
Okay, perfect. And that leads into my second question, in regards to the condition of approval number 3. Since there's a slight restriction, should that be added to the, give me 1 second, let me pull it up real quick. Oh, prohibited truck access? Should Placentia be added to that? Number 3, condition of approval?
Let me get to that. Is that in the planning conditions?
Yes. It's page 137 from the agenda.
137.
Which number?
Engineering?
From the whole packet.
Are you,
Okay,
assuming you're
so-
referring to the engineering
Oh.
condition.
Right, this is,
Yeah.
truck access shall be limited to the
I saw
I-215
that.
Harley Knox Boulevard interchange, Harley Knox Boulevard and Redlands Avenue. John, do we need to add Placentia to that?
If that's the commission's wish, yes.
Yeah, I think we should specify
Yeah,
exactly
I-
where we
I
should
came
do the
up with that.
restriction. Thank you. And my second question is in regards to the sidewalk on Redlands Avenue. So is there any plans to continue that sidewalk, or this is the first plan for that specific sidewalk along Redlands?
They will be placing sidewalk along their frontage.
And what are the details on the sidewalk? As far as like, is there gonna be a buffer? Is there gonna be trees along the sidewalk?
Commissioner Lopez, actually, the project is conditioned to provide for a Class 1 shared use path.
Awesome.
And I have a condition in there specifying what the requirements are for that
Yeah.
type of Class 1.
Right.
It is condition number 25, the second paragraph of engineering, condition number 25. With this type of path, we can accommodate joggers, runners, bicycle, and pedestrian.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. And can you, in regards to, I believe you called it the SCE path,
Yes.
is there gonna be any additions to it, or is it gonna be exactly what the existing path is gonna be?
They're going to essentially make it consistent with what's there already, so we don't have kind of a patchwork of different.
Got you.
Yeah, things going
I do
on.
have a request for the applicant, but that's it for right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Commissioner Jimenez, I guess.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Jimenez. So this is a B2 location. Is this type of building the only thing that can be built on B2, or what are other options for a B2?
Well, it's also in an industrial zone, so you're likely going to have mostly industrial projects. The limitations in the B2 zone are fairly minor. It's mostly just prohibiting residential uses and no uses over, I think the density is 100 people per acre, something like that. Yeah, so you could potentially have a smaller industrial building, but not too much smaller, because then you'd increase that density too much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My second question was, going back to the truck route, can we go back to that, please?
Yes. There you go.
So Placentia, ideally, when it opens, are we gonna rewrite it so that once Placentia opens, their truck route is gonna be Placentia to Redlands or to Paris? What are we gonna do with that?
The connection right now is to Indian, and for trucks, they can only go up to Indian, and they have to go north on Indian Avenue. They have to make a left.
And what's there to prevent them from going
Straight,
straight once Placentia opens all the way?
enforcement and signage.
Because
things of that
that's a
nature
residential
along-
area.
Correct.
So it would just be
That's why initially
our
we
usual
condi-
pretty colored signs and flashing lights.
Yeah, that's why initially we had it conditioned so they can only use Harley Knox and Redlands. to prevent this kind of routing of the trucks.
Can you tell me why we changed it to this now from Hartley Knox?
Because we do have some industrial projects on Indian Avenue. So trucks may use that interchange and go as far as Indian, go north on Indian.
I just want to note that there is industrial on Placentia up to Paris Boulevard. So when we did the truck route, that was there before, so we had to leave it up to Paris Boulevard.
Okay, my concern is that, I guess, so. There's no plan to do anything on the streets in order to prevent truck traffic continuing on Placentia once it extends, right?
I believe there will be signage and enforcement.
Other than
To
that,
restrict.
because I mean, signage and enforcement, we know doesn't work. A big rig ran a red light turning left in front of me on my way here today, so. In a signed route where they should not have been on. So I guess I'm asking, is there plans for something more restrictive? Because that is a residential area, because we live in this community and we know what happens. So that's why I'm asking, is there any plan or
No.
preventative measures other than signs and pretty lights?
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay, that was,
I do want to just add that our city engineer's office is working with the police, and it's taking a little bit time to implement, but the goal is to slowly heighten the enforcement. And so, and just want to let you know that that's what is being worked on.
okay, thank you. Can we go to the elevation that shows the traffic flow, please, on the site?
Which elevation?
The one that shows the traffic flow on
Sure. The site plan, yeah.
the site plan, yes.
There we go.
So there was a letter, right, coming from one of these residents about air quality and nearness, and a 14-foot wall. Do you know of any of those houses that are parallel to the building, or two-story houses where they would be able to see from their second-story floor and see?
There is, and I apologize for not including that in the PowerPoint, but on page 211 of the agenda packet.
Yes.
There is a detail showing from the second story, the truck court itself would not be visible. Maybe the top 20 feet or so of the building would be visible, but the truck court itself would not be visible from the second story.
Top 30 feet.
It's about 30 feet.
I believe, real quickly, I think we had 2 ad hoc meetings on this
Yes, we did.
project.
Yeah.
And I believe at least all the home that's directly parallel, and we have you confirm, is single story, but there's a home south of the southerly boundary, there's some that's 2 story, that they kind of offset 1 and 2, but all the properties that are directly adjacent to it is single story, is my understanding. I think we went out there to look at it.
But some of them a little bit further south are two-story.
Some of them a little further south are 2 stories.
So this elevation on page 211 shows from a second story?
Yes. Yeah.
And please refresh my memory. There was going to be a buffer, right? That was going to be between,
So
Locations
there's the SCE easement, which is about 42 feet, that'll have the trail and some landscaping, a 14-foot wall, and then an additional, is it 15 feet? 11 feet, landscaping with trees and everything inside the wall.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, wait, because I have to go back and refresh my memory. So go ahead.
Sure.
So considering that the project is adjacent to residents, what methods were used in notifying the residents in that area, and what were the responses?
The standard that is required by law, so a notification within 300 feet when we were releasing the studies for review, as well as the notification of the hearing.
And is that through mail or?
Mail, yes, they were mailed, yes.
Okay. And how many responses were received through
From residents, just the one.
Just one
just the one,
response?
yeah,
Okay, all right, thank you.
There was another individual, but I believe that that individual is connected to one of the unions and not an actual resident. Yeah.
One more. I remember another one of mine. As far as noise mitigation, because there is going to be truck traffic coming down in that southerly corner where they're coming through, what are we implementing for noise mitigation other than the block wall, the spacing, and plans?
That's it primarily. My understanding is that there was, actually, I have seen the noise study. It was conducted, and they're within the range with those mitigations in place.
Where did we measure from? Oh, I saw it. I just want them to say it.
Yeah, I don't know that off the top of my head, but the applicant could probably answer
Okay,
that for
I'll
you,
ask the
yeah.
applicant. Okay, thank you.
So the SE easement between the residences and the proposed project, it's going to be landscaped by the applicant.
Yes.
If we could pull up the landscape plan, if we would, please.
Yes.
It's a little bit very hard to.
Well, hold on.
determine.
I'll use this detail right here because this shows a little bit of a blow up of that landscaping piece that shows the SCE trail. And then you can also see what it looks like constructed from the project to the north.
So in the SE easement, I'm sure it's an issue with having trees so close to power lines, but on the
Yes.
opposite side of the fence, within the 11-foot landscaping buffer is being created, I don't see any trees in there. I only see shrubs and low-lying plants. Is that true? It's
I
hard-
believe
it
that
is
there
very
are
hard to tell.
trees. Yeah, sorry.
I believe there is a buffer. I think they mentioned 11 feet, and I think there's conditions you put trees, fast-growing trees, on the inside of the property.
It doesn't appear that they're there.
Not the northern one, but I don't know if there.
On the west, I guess it would
Yeah,
be.
I don't know if there are poles there going in this property. I don't think there are poles, right?
The power poles are in the Edison easement. There's also a landscape buffer on the property.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk to the applicant, but it should be on the plans.
So the plans are so small to read, it's very tough to determine what, it looks like it's only shrubs, 5-gallon plants that are going in that 11-foot buffer section.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
So I may not be a question for you, but a question for the applicant. If they have any issue with adding trees in that area, as long as SCE doesn't have any issues.
Commissioner Shively, are you talking about the Edison easement trees
Outside of Edison.
outside Edison?
So inside the
Inside our-
property, inside the wall?
property.
Yes. Okay. Would you be open to that? Adding trees inside the property?
Yeah, I'm looking at the detail. The detail
Guys.
section is, there's enlargements.
We can,
Okay. Okay.
You have to come up.
So to me, it just appears that there's no trees in that buffer. Okay.
We can condition that.
And then, just for clarity as well, the truck route is going to extend south of Ryder to reach this property as well.
Yes.
Can you repeat that question?
Just for clarity, that the truck route from Redlands is going to extend south of Ryder. One document in here shows that it stops at Ryder, and then there's another one in here that shows it going through past Ryder.
Can you bring up the truck route map?
There's two of them.
Yeah.
So this presentation on the screen shows it going past Ryder. In the documents, it shows it stopping at Ryder.
Which documents?
Our handout.
Oh, right, okay.
So just real quickly, Ryder Street and Placentia stops at Paris Boulevard. So in order for them to get to their site, they can't continue on. So if that makes sense, what they would have to do if they choose to use the Placentia exit, they would have to go up Indian to Morgan because they can't cross over Ryder or Placentia past Paris Boulevard.
Yeah, so the path across Paris Boulevard is on Morgan. Question to city engineering is, in the future, is there something preventative that it could be in place along Redlands to prevent truck traffic along the residential portion of Placentia?
We can look at different methods, see if, we can have this restricted. Other than signage and enforcement, at this time, we don't have other mechanisms.
Yeah, at this time, there's no current projects at that southerly triangle corner that meets it, but I'll try to remember that in the future whenever it does come available.
One more, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And then, again, I question as well, the color. This might be one of the old projects as well. The color palette, again, is somewhat better than the prior elevations and stuff, but it's still somewhat muted in using the gray tones. But it is a little bit better off than the other one as well. Did you have any direction working with the applicant on the colors?
Yes.
What were some of those discussions on the color palettes?
It's been a while now. I think the brick accent may have been added, and some caps at regular intervals were added, some additional glazing. Yeah. That's my recollection.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bennett, did you?
Thank you. Well, going back again to the traffic flow, so if we could go to the elevation with the, or this site plan with the traffic flow for
Yep.
trucks, this one, thank you.
Yep.
So I just want to clarify, the truck axis on the northern side is right in, left out?
No,
Yes.
no.
No?
No, please refer to engineering condition number 15. This exhibit is misleading, the
That's
lead
why-
lines.
yes.
yeah, is specifically indicated on condition number engineering condition number 15. So the way we're restricting the truck movements is physical restrictions or returns at the driveways, limiting, right turn movements for trucks.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. So there is going to be a restriction to a right-hand turn, so they will not be able to make a right-hand turn exiting?
They can only make right in and, left out of one of the driveways.
And the second driveway?
The middle driveway is for autos,
That one's, yeah.
correct, and the southerly one would be left out.
So the both truck,
Right in, left out.
truck accesses are right and left out.
Correct. Well, no. The northerly one would be right in only. condition number 15. The
No
middle-
exit?
No exit.
Okay.
Because we're trying to accommodate access with the development across the street from
Yes.
here. So we coordinated the driveways.
Okay.
So the northerly one would be right in only. The most southerly one will be left out, right in, left out only.
Yes. Is there any way, you know how in the past we've added that little section so that trucks cannot exit and make the right? I don't see it on here, and I know we had talked about that.
Correct. This exhibit is not clear, but at
Yes.
design stage, that's why we specifically set it in the conditions. So at plan check, we can kind of enforce that provision.
Okay, so we can put that so that there's that,
Actually, the driveway,
not
yeah,
a pork
it'd be
chop, what is
reversed.
that name? Because a pork chop is the middle one. What is this one
Oh,
called?
it's a channelizer?
Yes.
But in this case, we don't need to have channelizers. We implement this with reversing the return at the driveway.
Oh, okay, go ahead, because I'm gonna have a question.
So it wouldn't be an additional safeguard? So we're channeling so they can't exit, so we don't need to add the little channelizer because it's already channeled, is what you're saying?
Correct. The driveway is such that it's already channeled to make certain movement.
And is there gonna be, and Redlands is small, there's no, oh my God, I'm like blank on
Median?
words. Yes,
There is a raised landscape median on Redlands.
so they would not be able to turn right even if they wanted to?
Correct.
I mean, no, because they need to make that wide turn, so they would not be able to turn right without hitting the median, because Redlands is pretty small.
They can only make a left
Only a
out of
left.
it, yeah.
Okay.
The auto access can actually be intermingled on the north and south exits as well, because it got a clear path of parking.
Are we gonna set up
I-
those lock key? those
Yeah, again, I don't think
gates?
this exhibit is correct that you're looking
No.
at.
Yeah,
Otherwise, yeah, they'd be barricaded or fenced off.
There will be fences there, yeah.
There'll be crash gates for fire, correct?
Correct.
at both locations, the northerly and the southerly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I just do want to note, although the landscape plans or the site plan might not reflect the landscaping along the westerly and southerly boundary, in the planning condition number 42A, there's revisions to the landscaping plan that conditions for trees along the buffer. So I just wanted to note that. I know that there was some discussions, I just want to clarify that.
Does it discuss spacing of trees and size of trees?
It discusses the size of the tree, but the spacing, we can add, you can make some recommendation for the applicant to consider.
What's the size of the trees? 24 or 36?
36.
That's spacing and tree species subject to planning staff approval. And I know, I think one of the challenges is when you plant a tree and that's where the big rigs are coming in and out of, so like, kind of like trimming, making sure they're not scratching the top.
Okay. After this, I'm going to take a break, but some points, and I promise not to be long because this is the first day back and I shouldn't be that long. A lot of it's been pushed, has been talked about already. There seems clarification. First, I'm going to start with clarification on this very site plan. Truck access, and I'm going to go point by point because it's very necessary. The northern thing was very confusing. The right turn in with trucks, but leaving, they're turning left.
And
Southerly.
only out of the southerly driveway.
I'm talking north.
Yes, but out of the southerly driveway
Right.
going north.
Right, but the
Yes.
northern truck access, you're going in,
Right.
but you're leaving going left to go up to Morgan, right?
There's no exit on the north.
So that means they have to drive around and come out.
Yes.
I hope they
Yeah.
know that, and when the signs are internal.
Yes.
'Cause you're gonna have a problem. My other thing is, we've got to clarify Placentia. Placentia in the future, if we're gonna say Placentia is not going to be, and I understand there's residents there, because that's originally where that, quote, freeway was going in, and I'll leave that alone. They won't get political here. But fortunately, because of those homes there, it's not part of the truck route, so they have to go to Morgan. one of these statements in here said Ramona Expressway. We need to take anything that says Ramona Expressway out of this thing. Staff notes, everything. Don't say Ramona Expressway, even though it is used as a truck route. We want them to, well, let's be honest, Morgan is where we want them to go. So we want to go Morgan, then you can cross over, which makes sense, the Indian. Those industrial warehouses on that side obviously can go Placentia to the freeway. Anyway, that's the whole point of that. So I just want to clarify that. Because the truck routes is for some reason. Another thing is on landscaping, and I'm going to tell you this because I have personal experience with it. If you put an African sumac tree, which I have in front of my house, you're going to have seeds all over the place. It is a beautiful tree. It seeds constantly. I would really think about that one. I also have a crepe myrtle, which is just fine. Beautiful tree, but African sumac in front of my house, my wife wants to cut the whole stupid thing down because it drops seeds. And so you may want to think about that one at that location. Seriously, that's personal in my house thing. So there's nobody going to refute that one. It's in front of my house. You know, and if I could physically do it, I'd be waving them out now. I think I like the idea, though. You talked about noise. One of the good things about this report, and there's a lot of good things, in talking about noise, and you have to do the detailed reading that puts you to sleep, I know. They actually show pictures of the receptors and those things in the community, on the street, showing a picture of where it was put. This has not been done in the past. So there's no question about they did the noise receptors. Now, whether we agree with it or not, at the point, they put them there. So at least you can see where they were at. And so one of the sensitive receptors was in the community, other ones are farther south. They call it SM1 or something like that. So at least you're seeing that it's there. Now you could debate whether or not the decibels or CNNL, all that stuff is there, but that's not the point of the argument now, is that they are there to read and to see. So it was done in the community and showing it actually there on the street. So it's not just something where in the past you just hear, oh, they put it over there, where'd you put it, on a fence? You know, next to the chicken coop, or next to, where did you put them? You got to know where it's put, because that's where the crust of this program. Our ad hoc committee, I think, discussed a lot of things, and that's why I'm not really going through a lot of stuff. The buffer zone is the key too, number last one for me. I don't remember seeing poles there on the southern side. There might have been, but I don't remember seeing electric poles going all the way down past the residential. I don't remember seeing any. I'm gonna give you some quick background. In the general plan in 2005, none of these people were here. But in 2005, it was approved industrial, and it was not controversial within. But one of the issues, there was abutting residential. And this got through, because a lot of things got through back then, but it got through, and it still was abutting residential. How are we going to deal with that buffer? Well, you deal with the buffer by having footage, not just necessarily 30, but it might mean feet. You have trucks on the southern end that'll be parking there. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be electric, okay? Not yet. They're going to have those emissions, and that's a concern there. Obviously, the study said all these things, and maybe it depends on the time, but it's right there on the southern end, and the houses are right there. So that's a concern, at least. I'm not saying anything good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that's a concern. So to buffer that, maybe trees, the 14-foot wall deals with sound, but it doesn't deal with the fumes that come over. So that, before I got here, I'm just getting here, so I don't know all the discussions. I don't know whether that would have been first consideration to me. Even the northern end, you still have parking. Truck parking looks like on the northwest end. That's still abuts property. So when they talk about buffers, we're really serious about buffers. What buffers can you put there? And, trees can only do so much. They save the CO2, things like that, but we're talking, maybe the need to have a real 14% here, we're talking landscaping, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 14% is just above the 12%. So I'm just saying is when we did this design, and I'm just going because I wasn't here in the design, do we need to add to the buffer area? Since we're talking 30 feet from the actual wall, right? 30 feet?
Buffer is 11 feet.
11 feet. So I mean from the building itself or the parking to the actual wall.
From the building to the wall,
Yeah.
The nearest point is 50 feet.
50 feet, okay.
There's the landscape buffer is 11 feet, and then there's an additional 38 feet or so to the building for the drive aisle.
And that's the same with the truck, where the truck parking is?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's about 50, yeah. I let all that to say that because the buffers make a big difference
Yeah.
in this project where across the
And
street, we're
the
not.
additional 42-foot SE.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where, if you have a congregation of trees and kind of other things that would buffer that, not only the noise, but the potential oxides and things that come, that is one of those things, if we have to shore up, that's one of those things that we should be shored up. But, it was approved for this in the past to be light industrial, and I don't think anybody could possibly conceive what it would look like or what kind of studies were done, but studies in 2005 are not the same in 2023. The projections back then were totally different than now. So you can say yes back then, yeah, but you weren't presuming this now. So that's a consideration. That's pretty much it for me. I think this clarification on the not going to Placentia, we'll make sure they go up north, and that one of the northern parking there, access is able to turn left and go up to Morgan. So that means all of them potentially going up to Morgan. I don't know if that's clarified in there. All of them have to go in that direction. So if they're exiting on the truck access north, they're exiting on the south, they're exiting the vehicles is another thing. But the trucks all have to go to Morgan according to this, right? Morgan Street. Okay, so just want to, just want to make sure that's clarified that it's going to Morgan Street.
Coming from
Yeah,
and going
and not
to.
Placentia, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. I'm good then, thanks. Anybody else with any questions? Okay. I know we beat you up today, but it's okay. Not too bad. Okay.
I'm
Thank you.
used to it. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I did have one more. Oh, one more? Mhm.
Commissioner Jimenez. So, one of the intros here stated, the issues that were brought up during the ad hoc committees. And one of them was the nearness to houses. Can you go into a little bit maybe of a history of the changes that were made? Because it says that they were addressed, but it doesn't say how they were addressed or the changes that were implemented based on that feedback. Do you have any of those points and how they were directly addressed? Handy?
The buffer was increased. I believe the fire lane was also increased in size, so that we'd create, essentially you have from the building to the edge of the residential property lines is pretty close to about 100 feet now. So that's one of the changes that was achieved. A lot of it was about the truck access versus vehicle access. So that went through several iterations with engineering, even outside of the ad hoc meeting and planning, and then finally got to this iteration. Those were the two main things. We did discuss noise, and Christine had provided the noise study for us at the ad hoc meeting, the information for that. So there wasn't anything additional that was done there. They had already decided that they were going to continue that 14-foot block wall along the back. So, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. I think the only thing in relation to that 14-foot wall was that they provided the sight line so that we could see from a second story, how much of the truck court would be visible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that it? Okay, thank you very much. And at this time, the proposer, have any comments or additional statements that you'd like to make at this time? Again, just for the record, just state your full name and spell your last name for us.
Yes, thank you. My name is Christine Saunders, Saunders, representing Lake Creek Industrial, the applicant. And so, again, thank you to the Planning Commission and to staff and Chantel for working with us on this project. We did submit our conceptual development review, I think, in 2020, so it's been quite some time, and the project has evolved with the input from staff. So to some of your site planning questions, the initial application actually oriented the dock doors towards the residential, and the building was rotated, so that even goes back a little bit further than the ad hoc planning committee that we integrated the additional comments that you guys have discussed. And I just want to also point out that there was a lot of work with the ad hoc planning commission meeting, and it's a mouthful, sorry, that committee, the ad hoc committee, and engineering and planning. And what I think might be missing from the picture is that in the traffic study, there is a conceptual striping plan for Redlands, and it shows the relationship of the driveways across the street as well as up and down Redlands. And so the conceptual striping plan includes a median that precludes left turns into this site from the south. So trucks could not make a left turn coming north, so they would have no reason to come from Placentia and make a left onto Redlands. They would be precluded from that movement. That way, they would be able to only access the site from the north to make the right in and the left out. And the passenger cars the same. They can make a right in and a right out from the center driveway, and there's a left turn pocket for the median brake to turn into that driveway from the north, or from the south heading north. So passenger cars can make that left turn, but trucks cannot. So there is a physical barrier to that truck movement to alleviate that concern. As far as the landscape, we do have the condition to enhance the landscape along the residential buffer, and we'll definitely work with staff to do that and make sure we have the right spacing and the right species, and we don't want to create a seed problem for ourselves. So thank you for that tip. And yeah, I think that can be worked out with staff. And then additionally, we did enhance the rear elevation of the building that's visible above the wall. So there is enhanced four-sided architectural design on all sides of the building. Those are the highlights that I wanted to cover in response to your comments and questions, and I'd be happy to answer any further that you might have.
Thank you very much. And at this time, if we have any questions for the proposer.
I have a question in regards to the SCE trail. I know the existing part of the trail doesn't include lights, but would you be open to including some to the half that you guys are including, just to increase safety for that area?
So I think that that's a great comment, and I would want to work with staff to work with SCE on that, because I know SCE does have restrictions on what goes into their easements. And so I just don't know if lights are something that are or not allowed. So that's something I think that if feasible, we could consider. But I would want to defer to what SCE would allow or not.
Got you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jimenez?
Oh, Commissioner Jimenez, yes. Was there a lot of discussions about having drought-tolerant plants, maybe matching the landscaping to the buildings that are already there? Because I know there's development, so aligning it so there's more of a flow, so it looks more cohesive?
I don't know that the landscape architect necessarily looked at the surrounding buildings, but that is something that we can take under advisement and coordinate in our final landscape plan when it goes through plan check. If we need to do any changes there, then we would be amenable to that.
Thank you.
And Vice Chair.
I just, if we can go back to the elevations along the western side that borders the,
You wanted to see the landscape?
no, I
elevation,
want
or-
to see the exterior elevations.
That one?
The one that has all.
The borders the opposite side,
That.
which would be the west facing.
The bottom one.
Yeah. I'm just trying to look at the enhancements that, from the view of the neighbors. So, okay, if we can leave it up for a while on that, I'd appreciate that.
There are some details to that on a separate page as a inset.
Okay. I'm looking at this one, so,
Oh,
as well. Okay. I have no questions.
I do. Thank you for leaving this one up now. I guess the elevation with like orange just up. I know it was added like an accent, so maybe working with staff, maybe a gray color. The orange is pretty, but it doesn't go with the color scheme in that area. And I'm not sure if it's with this particular color scheme. It feels like it was developed one way with one kind of aesthetic idea, and then that was added on. So maybe working with staff to make it maybe a gray if it needs to be added, or something else that just, because it just was on one side, it didn't wrap around to both sides to really give it a reason for being there. It just seemed a little bit off.
Okay. Yeah, the rust color
Yes.
was identified to be a secondary material than painted concrete, so that's what is shown in the conditions. We definitely can continue to work with staff to refine that elevation and colors and.
Yeah, just so it looks, it matches, because you're turning, it looks beautiful on this side, and then you turn and there's just something on one side, but that doesn't extend. So just making sure it really flows and really brings out the building.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay, I have nothing further to add, believe it or not. I think they've covered it all.
Thank you.
I think I beat up on the city and then left the proposal. Or anything. Yeah. Okay. At this time, thank you very much, staff. Unless the staff has anything else to add. I can't imagine.
No.
At this time, we open it up for public comment. And I'm going to do something. Go back to. Yeah. At this time, we open up for public comment. Anyone who wishes to address the Planning Commission regarding line items not on the agenda may do so at this time. And you can walk up to the podium and wait for the chairperson to recognize you. Speak clearly, give your name. We always say just spell your last name. And for accurate reading in the minutes. And 3 minutes to address the Planning Commission. Obviously, there's a whole thing about listening devices, and if it's necessary, you can come to the secretary here, and if you need listening devices or help of any kind, we'll try to help you in that way. I think we also have, I don't know if we still have the interpreter, I think, in the room. It's been a long time. If you need that assistance with language. Compliance with the American Disability Act, in which I'm temporarily on myself. City Council adopted reasonable accommodations policy to swiftly resolve accommodation requests. So if you need that as well, we can work with you. But at this time, if anyone is on Zoom, IT can let me know if there's anyone on Zoom at this time that has.
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm striking it today. Yeah. Anyone in the audience? I know I have one just to read. A person, sorry. Susan Diaz, I've got a request to address the commission. I won't talk about the address. It's just you want to come forward, and if you'd like to address the commission, feel free. That's Susan Diaz.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Susan Diaz. I'm a concerned resident. I'm here to express my strong opposition for the proposal Redland West Industrial Project. This project is very close to residential homes, including my home. This is a route that I take Monday to Friday, 4 times a day, to drop and pick up my children from school, causing already traffic with all the other warehouses and the ones being built on Ryder Street, with hundreds of diesel trucks coming in and out of the facilities. I have a young child with asthma, making him a high risk for premature death as a result of exposure to fine particulates, which are a byproduct of diesel emission. For the planning commissioners and the developers, if the tables were turned, what would you do? Would you want these trucks to be driving near your homes? Will you want your children to be encountering these trucks going and coming from school? I hope you guys take my concerns into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Well, I think we recognize Councilman Ray.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is David Rabb. I'm a Paris resident, speaking solely as a Paris resident regarding this project. My main concern regarding this particular project is there's not enough setback from the homes to the warehouse. And there's not enough, any kind of, there needs to be more of a boundary, more trees, more of a boundary from the homes to the residents. I do believe that the city dropped the ball on the project to the north. There should have been more of a setback. Just because a zone is zoned industrial doesn't mean that developers can build right up to the homes. I think this is a very important issue. This is an issue regarding the residents that bought those homes. And the mobile home park has been there as long as I've been alive, and I'm 36 years old. The houses on the south have been there 17 years. To put a warehouse there and to go almost up to the house without any kind of, with 11 feet boundary after the trail boundary is not enough boundary for the residents and the children in those homes. 11 feet, I'm 5'7.5". That's two of me basically. So we need more of a boundary if it means decreasing the size of the warehouse, taking 50,000, 25,000 square feet off the warehouse, taking some of the parking away to create more of a boundary. I've talked to developers before. They've been nice people. They've been open to that. But at the end of the day, we represent the residents of Paris. There needs to be a boundary. We need to double the trees in that area. And I do think that the Planning Commission, hearing the questions, you guys are right about it. And I would impress upon staff and impress upon the developer, these are people's lives we're dealing with. So we need a developer, we need trees in the area. And if it means decreasing the project site, we should decrease the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? What we could do, and we've done in the past, is we could open up the public hearing again, so if the developer would like to respond, you would have an opportunity at this time, if that's okay with the commissioners. I'm okay with that. Okay, so if you would like to, we open it up again, the public hearing portion of this. If you would like to have a response to our statements, we want to be fair and transparent.
Sorry, I just have one moment. I'm going to pull this site plan back up, if that's okay.
Oh, just for the record, I know.
Yes. Christine Saunders, Saunders, representing Lake Creek Industrial. So if I'm hearing correctly, the concern is regarding the width of the buffer along the residential property line. And so just going back, that we have the SC easement, the 14-foot wall, and then 11 feet on the inside of the property line currently proposed, and then the additional just shy of 40 feet of the drive aisle. And so what it sounds like is the request to widen the the landscape strip of 11 feet to some larger number. The effect of that would be basically the southwest corner of the building, so it's that, kind of weird corner there. And then it would potentially affect trailer parking stalls along that drive aisle as well. I conferred with the applicant, and he's amenable to looking at a wider buffer. And the result would likely be a reduction in that corner of the building. And then just following the radius, maybe one or two dock doors on that southern end. And that is something that we can look at. And I can't pull out of my head right now like what that appropriate size would be as far as the buffer. And I'm open to suggestions if there's a number that would be sufficient. If we're looking at 20 feet or doubling the size of that, I think that's something that we can have our architect go back and take a look at of what that effect would be to the building.
Okay. Can we still have discussion with Okay. Do you have any questions or comments? Commissioner Menace?
For clarification, we're talking about increasing that all the way through the residential, including the mobile home park in the north. That would affect some of those trailer parks, those stalls as well.
Right, the stalls were positioned to kind of have that same line from the edge of the building. And so if the edge of, if everything shifted by like another 10 feet for another, doubling the size of that.
Everything would shift.
Yes, exactly. So there may be some stalls that were lost there. The other thing that I would also note that was a result of the ad hoc planning commission meetings was, I believe we had the trailer parking stalls all the way to the property line on the north-south, and we added the landscape in those corners. So there would be a, commensurate increase in that as well.
So in the landscape plans does not reflect the updated site plan that shows more landscaping at the northwest corner and then the southwest corner. At this point, if you have any further questions, you can have discussion about if you're going to recommend any additional landscape buffer or.
There we go.
I do have an additional question. So in looking at this, I guess this one is a previous one, right? The slide that we're on right now, because on this one, we show the trucks going around the outside of those stalls. But in the other one, it seems like there's a gap between the building and those first stalls. So when we do it this way, we are really backing up into all of those houses, where if we were to go in between, I guess, those stalls and the building, that would have given us a buffer so that we would only impact directly like 2 or 3 houses instead of, 2, 3, 4, 10.
So you're talking about the circulation for the
Yes.
fire lane?
For the big rigs, because I think we were gonna use the same circulation for the fire lane for the big rigs. So according to the other elevation, they're gonna come in and they're gonna go all the way around and they're gonna be, kind of navigate all the way around and follow that fire lane.
Yeah, I think that's an issue of striping. I see your point that in this landscape
Yes.
plan, there's a drive aisle along the edge of the building.
Yes.
Yes. I see that inconsistency, so I'm going to ask, do you recall the intention?
Yeah, it's not the right site plan. It went inside of the.
Guys, come on up.
Oh,
That's okay.
Hi, I'm Bob Kubicek with Lake Creek Industrial. That site plan was wrong, so we changed it in the ad hoc meeting to where we made it closer to the building.
Yes.
And we had the trailer stalls on the outside.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was correct. That was the wrong one.
Yes. Okay.
Notice.
I just wanted to clarify because then we would, if we drove around the outside, we'd be impacting all those houses and being closer instead of, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this landscape is not correct because there's also, they got the fire lane on, driving around the exterior of the
Yeah,
property.
both of them are incorrect.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
well, we'll go back and double check that before council, for sure.
So my thought is, as an additional buffer, increasing the setback along that westerly side to at least 75 feet, which would probably increase the easement with the SE easement plus the setback. It'll probably be like 175 feet to the rear of the property lines of the residences. And that would cut back another 25 feet of the building. That's my thought on it, as well as relocating the trailers as well to be that same distance away. And then increasing the landscape buffer by a sizable amount to potentially, at least another 15 feet or so to like a 25-foot landscape buffer That's, that's my thought. Increasing the setback to 75 feet. And then increasing the landscape buffer to 25 feet from 11 feet.
So an additional 14 feet.
No, the landscape buffer would be another 14 feet. And then the setback would be 75 feet instead of approximately 25 feet that you currently have.
Setback from the SCE?
Setback
Or
from
from
the
the
edge of the
property?
property line.
Okay, so that
The
includes the SCE,
SCE,
which is like 11 feet, right?
so the SCE,
With,
Yeah, so,
which is like 75 feet from the SCE easement.
Excuse me, we just want to backtrack. Are we talking to the developer, or you just want to?
I'm proposing it to the developer.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just
so
wanted to
are we,
clarify.
are we counting that setback from the block wall?
Correct.
So block wall,
75 feet.
25 feet of landscape, and then the drive aisle. And the
Correct.
landscape plus drive aisle equals 75 feet? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And is that additional 14, and I'm sorry, I just don't have it in front of me. Is that additional 14 feet the delta between what's shown
So
and
the drive
75
aisle
feet?
between the landscape and the actual building it's gonna be increased by, another 10 feet or so. So instead of 40 feet drive aisle, it's a 50-something feet drive aisle. But the face of the building to the 14-foot high wall is 75 feet.
Got it.
where's the wall?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
So, so it's plus 14 feet landscape, plus 10 feet drive aisle, for a total plus 24 feet from the wall. Is that what you're saying?
No. So the face of the building wall is 75 feet from the 14-foot high wall.
Okay. Sorry, this resolution isn't so great on this.
The landscape, right, yeah, no, it's terrible. And the landscape buffer will go from 11 feet to 25 feet. And then, of course, I would like to see trees back there as many as possible, and as a species that is as tall as possible, that is, of course, drought tolerant as well. I'm not a landscape architect, so I can't tell you exactly what the best species for height and density back there.
And for clarification, Commissioner, no parking, no trailer parking within that 75-foot setback, correct?
That's what I would propose
Okay.
along the westerly side. Again, that's if the other commissioners would agree as well.
If it's feasible for them.
Yeah,
Because what's the
feasible.
cost?
Right, so right now it's 51, so it'd be plus 26 in that pinch point of where the fire is just the fire lane of the lower corner.
Or 24, right, additional
Yes.
24.
Okay. Got it.
If it's 51 currently from the 14-foot high wall.
May I have a moment?
Sure.
We'll make it easier because I need to do it. But how about a 5 minute, only 5 minute, 10 minute recess?
Because when we say 5 and we take.
Okay, 10. Okay. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. We're just waiting on one colleague to come back, so. Okay, we want to reconvene the Planning Commission meeting. 8:16 PM, January 18, 2023, and we're waiting on Ms. Saunders.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I just want to restate what the request is. So the request is from the 11-foot, I'm sorry, from the 14-foot high block wall. There would be a 25-foot landscape setback the entire length of the PL. And then for that pinch point between the 25 feet and the building, that drive aisle would be increased from 40 feet to 50 feet, which would give us a total distance from the block wall to the nearest edge of the building of 75 feet.
I don't know what the dimension of the drive aisle would be, but yes, from the block wall to the edge of the building would be 75 feet.
Got it, yes. Yes, so our architect is watching, and he's already drafted that, and it is, can be accommodated. So we would definitely be able to take that as a recommendation to make that revision prior to council.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we close this public hearing. There will be no public comment. But we're closing the public hearing portion. And let me just say this myself. One of the reasons we do this, we could just add conditions if we wanted to, but we want to get input. So it's really up to us to decide, whatever other changes, whatever things like that. We do this out of transparency. Other cities don't, we do. they don't. But we try to get some input, so from all sides, at least we can make a judgment decision one way or the other. So that's why we do it. We open it up to make sure at least everyone knows what we're doing, not secret meetings here. Okay, and with that, close that, and now I think as we close the public hearing, we come to the Planning Commission for discussion. Discussion, comments, or anything of that sort. And we can start either way.
I'll go.
Okay.
I am intrigued by the design of the building. I feel like it's unique to all the buildings in the area. Something I've never seen before using that particular design. I do like the inclusion of the SCE trail. I feel like it's important to increase pedestrian usage for the city. And I do agree that we should increase the buffer for that area, the west side of the project, especially since there's a sensitive receptor in that area, and it's important to keep the health and safety of those residents that live there.
Commissioner Jimenez?
I empathize with our community members. I drive by that road every day, so I know that feeling of having to take your kids to school or even go grocery shopping or anything. And especially Ryder has progressively gotten worse and worse with traffic. There's a warehouse right on the corner of Paris and Ryder, which I'm happy to report they're using the right turn-ins and turn-outs, but there's so many trucks there, it was really backed up to where I had to wait there until like the trucks were going in. It was really bad, like really bad. So I guess, they're using the right turns, but now we're backed up. There's really no way. We're having to find alternate routes as residents, which is really hard, when you can save some time, especially in the morning. I don't know about other people, but time is not my friend in the morning. So it has been very tough. I also have a daughter that has some health issues. So, and for me, it was hard when I moved into the city in 2010 because I didn't know about these zoning things and I didn't know about all these things. So our hands are very tied to what we can approve in certain areas. But things like this where we can get a little bit more setback, more landscaping to help with the sound and hopefully mitigate some of that air quality negative impacts that we can have, or, they can't turn any way they want. Those are the only things that we really have a lot of control over or that we can give feedback on. But I empathize a lot because it's hard living in a city that is going this way and trying to make adjustments and really wondering where it's going to end or when it's going to end or what the impact on our day-to-day lives is going to be. But I do appreciate the applicant. I was part of the ad hoc committee, and they were always very open, very nice, flexible, really wanting to work and really wanting to have the least amount of impact on the residents, which I did get that feeling from them. And because it's zoned industrial, I mean, technically, it could have come in and said, this is what we want to build, and we could ask for whatever, and they could have said no, which would have made it very, very hard for the residents around there. So I'm really hoping that all these things that we're putting in place, left turn only, all these little things really help limit the impact of this kind of thing. My husband's a big rig driver, so I don't want the big rig around me all the time because I know how far the noise carries, especially in the middle of the night. They have this weird rattling sound that just is there nonstop. So I understand the impact, but I just want to clarify that our hands are very tied with what we can and can't approve in certain areas. But I also appreciate that we're willing to work with the landscaping, make sure it kind of matches. If this is what we have, make it as beautiful as we can and really make our city stand out.
And Vice Chair Shively, if you like.
So my first thought of this project was to vote for a denial for approval. As we progressed through it, and I was asking specific questions regarding setbacks and landscaping buffers and stuff like that, in the intention to make sure we have an abundance of trees and a nice landscape buffer from the adjacent property owners, residential property owners. But with the inclusion of those, of the additional 20, or the additional setbacks and the additional landscape buffer, I feel at least a little bit more accepted to approving the project. I also try to encourage the landscape architect to investigate choosing trees that are trees that can actually remove particulate matter from the surrounding areas, as well as being drought tolerant and as well as being as tall as possible, that fit in the area in regards to where how wide the trees are, because we can't get them too close to the power lines, but if they're tall and narrow, that might work. So I definitely believe there is a challenge for this landscape architect to come up to a design and choosing the proper trees that are best suited for that westerly property line. And I also encourage and would like the planner to work with the applicant on the color palette as well, and make the building look as best as possible on that westerly side as much as the easterly side along Redlands Boulevard, to make it as appealing as possible for the neighbors to review and see as they look out the backyard and appreciate what their backyard looks like So,
Okay, and quickly, it's not easy for me quickly. Suffice to say, several things. I don't have a problem with it, but the first concern after 4 months being away, the first thing I think of is what is the buffer with residential? And that was the challenge. Probably, I'll use the word sin of the past. It was, I'll be nice because that group did not concern themselves with that. But today, you can't do that. And I think one of the things that caught me for this project was the ad hoc committee, which whatever they do, I have no problem with because they represent us. So I know them, they know me. So if they start pushing things, I don't have to be there. That's how close we are in that sense. But buffer thing was going to be an issue. But one thing you have to appreciate is you have developers that are willing to work with you. We have some that are, when you do that, we'll get, okay, I'm just being honest. If you want to be that way, we can be that way. But we want to work with you, and we know what the cost. It's easy for us to say do things, and it's your cost. But we also have to trust staff. We have great engineer, we have great director here, we have another one. They can work with you, so we don't have to be nitpicking every single thing. But I think color palette with our architect on staff. And also, too, we have concerns that what we can do, landscaping, we can talk about in detail. We're also the tree committee, and you don't know anything about that. But we are technically a tree committee now. Very few people know that but me. But the idea is that landscaping, whatever buffers that could be there, because a 14-foot wall, and we don't just want, if you just put a wall, that could be ugly too. Sometimes it takes to get the right kind of vines there, so you have some, it's not just blank and, it's just invitation for that. SE is not easy to deal with in terms of putting anything in their pathway. I'm just telling you right now. So lighting is going to have to be a consideration with them, things like that. It's another bureaucracy. Quasi-government, but they act like one. But all I'm saying is, I think in overall, with the architectural changes, things of that nature, I think you can work with it. The setbacks, the fire lane is non-negotiable. That's something the fire department say you have to be certain with. That's not negotiable. So whatever you have to take away from parking, so be it. But the fire lane has to be there, and they're not going to negotiate that to fire. Okay, so that's one of those things that is not discussing. Truck access in and out is 1 and 2 priorities with us, because accessing to Redlands and where they go from there is important citywide. It's also council importance too. So where they go, that's why we keep asking questions. Where are you directing this traffic to? That's important because they end up in the community. So we have to know in writing that they're directed there, and even signs on your property saying turn left. Teaching the people there who are driving the trucks, you need to go this direction. We don't want to be writing $5,000 fines, right? We can. But the idea is we want to work with the developers, so with even something as simple as that in other cities, we make that an importance here. So we try to balance the needs of the community, balance what the proposer has because you own the property, and so we try to find some happy medium. It's not always going to be successful. You're not always going to be liked by both sides, but we do the best we can. And one of the things is buffers. Those things we can control. We can architecture we can look at. We're going to be real dogmatic about architecture. If you come in with it, get ready to go back. This is a color scheme that's becoming citywide. The buildings north, all that we approve. So the blue-gray kind of thing is kind of the norm. That's the latest fad. It used to be brown, earth tones. We threw that junk out from the 80s and 90s. But now it's different, so that's the tone. So we want to have the highest quality architecture since this is in a specific plan, right? So all that said is we appreciate the staff. Thank you for being so patient tonight. First night back, and I'm almost 3 hours. But I appreciate the willingness to be flexible, and you work with staff with that. So I don't have any problem. I think everything's been covered. For me, unless there's something else, I'm done for this project. Thank you for being so patient. Thank you for being so patient. And IT, thank you for being patient if they're still awake, right? Yeah, okay. And at this time, we close that portion, our portion, and we go to a motion. Now, we may have to add a few things, but one way or the other, but and since I can't do it.
You want to read it?
Yeah, okay. I'll read this one. Okay, yeah, let's see here. Requested action, yeah, this is, I can read. Adopt Resolution 22-25, recommending that the City Council adopt a mitigated negative declaration number 2377 and a mitigation and monitoring and reporting program, and approve specific plan amendment 22-05052. tentative parcel map 22-05029, TPM 38386, and development plan review 20-00020 to facilitate the construction of a 334,040 square foot industrial warehouse building based on the findings and conditions of approval. And we did have some recommendations. I think it was the engineering condition number 3 to include Placentia, a statement about Placentia. If you want to read that, that's okay. Also, other was administrative architectural design, particularly the orange block to be reviewed and going back over about that orange. Is it orange? Brick? Orange? Oh, rust. Okay, rust block there. Okay, okay. And then conditioning that we talked about, I know I don't want to go through all the detail, maybe if you want to discuss it, about the setbacks. So the setback now being, if you want to go through it, it's just more important for you to have it than me to have it, the change in the setback and the buffer area. Okay.
With the modification to the setback on the westerly side to provide a 75-foot setback from the westerly property line to the closest portion of the building, including a 25-foot landscape planter along the westerly side of the property. And for clarification, would the commission like to include any specifications on the landscaping, the size of trees, percentage of trees that need to be included as part of the landscape area to provide that additional screening of the building and enhancement that we're looking for from the residential area?
My suggestion would be as tall as possible, and trees that can remove particulate matter and be drought tolerant, and be considered, maybe 70, what normally would be the spacing, but increase it by at least 75%.
Yeah, I don't have any specifications in 36 or the other one. That I'll leave that to here. But the idea is that the African sumac we need to get rid of. But other than that, again, drought tolerant, and also will be an effective buffer and do the emissions. So that's for people that are way beyond my
Noted.
level.
Thank you.
And as well, just to clarify, that the 75-foot setback would be from the 14-foot wall. I don't know if the property line is in the easement or where exactly is, but it's from the 14-foot high wall.
Yes, Commissioner Shively, we just clarified that the property line is actually outside the wall, so we would want that 75 feet to be from the wall.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, do you get that, Kenneth? Okay. Okay. Don't ask me to repeat that. 'Cause I have no okay. And we need a motion, one way or the other, a motion. Yeah, we have to say it verbally. So.
I make a motion.
It's obviously Commissioner Jimenez. And we need a seconder. I don't know.
If you could.
I don't know if I can. Yeah. Not really.
Can you clarify if
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Can the chairman make a second on the motion? There's no restrictions on that.
Yeah. There's no restriction on that from my understanding. Let me double check. Chair Hammond, I've confirmed that the chair can second the motion.
Yeah, I'll second it. We won't be here all night. Okay.
Commissioner Lopez,
No.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes?
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a motion of 3 yeses and 1 no, this motion passes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience out there, too. Okay. With that, we move on to item 8, business item. Okay. And we move to number 9, public comment. I hope I shouldn't have to read the whole things, but you can address the planning commission on a non-agenda item. So you can come now if anyone would like to address the planning commission. I'm losing it. I'm losing it, yeah. On a non-agenda item at this time. So if anyone would like to come forward, or on Zoom.
No, sir.
Okay. Wow. What's happening? Anybody on Zoom? Okay. Okay, so we close that portion, number 9, public comments, and move to commission members' announcements or reports. Anybody can start.
I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. This is our first meeting back, the first meeting of 2023. And I want to congratulate Chair Hammond for coming back. It's good to have you back. And make an announcement for, there's an event coming on this Saturday with Live Well Paris. It's going to be a Gear Up bicycle ride at Lake Paris at this Saturday at 8 a.m. I'm going to try my best to be out there, so hopefully there's a good turnout. Besides that, I just want to thank staff for today's meeting. Appreciate you guys' work and effort. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a good night.
Thank you very much. I guess Commissioner Jimenez, since you're next in line.
I just want to say, I hope everybody stayed safe from all the rain. It was a rainy weekend, and in saying that it was a rainy weekend, our roads are pretty disheveled. You know, I don't know what we're filling potholes with, but the minute it rains, it's not water resistant. So it all goes away. So just, you know, I'm sure the council has plans for touching up our streets just because they drive these streets too. So I'm sure they're going through the same thing the rest of us are going through. I also just wanted to check. We're talking at the school board meeting yesterday. I was listening in. And they were talking about money and how it comes to the school districts, and one of them was like through development. So I just wasn't sure where like our local districts get money from developments here, or how that's given out. I know sometimes there's environmental justice money that is given out for impact just for planting more trees, and I know that we have the good neighbor policy now, so I don't know if that's where it's going, which would be good for planting more trees. But just wanted to say, hope everybody is having a great new year, staying safe, staying dry. I think there's more rain and cold weather in the forecast. So hope to see you all soon. And I'm especially glad that Chair Hammond is back joining us. You know, we missed him. Now we just need to wait for Coach Gomez. See, I'm still at work. Commissioner Gomez to come back, and then we have a full crew again. So thank you.
And Vice Chair Shively, of course.
Being a parent is coaching too, so.
This is true. She's a coach now.
She's a new coach, hopefully. I would like to, at least when I drove by today, it looked like they're starting on the Skills Center, and perhaps construction of the Skills Center, and hopefully Kenneth could fill us in on that, what's going on with that. Welcome back to Commissioner Hammond. Your absence has been missed, and it's appreciate you actually being here as well. So, and Happy New Year.
I am so eternally thankful to be able to be here. It's been really tough 4 months. Not only surgery, but then have a wedding of my daughter the week after that. So I still made it there in a wheelchair, but I made it there. So it's been an up and down. But I didn't watch this thing because I would be frustrated to death if I watched the Planning Commission. So I'd be, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Just don't do it. Just don't watch it. So it's best that I didn't. I don't want to sit there with a remote in my hand doing this all day. I'm a very active person. I can't stand it. You know, I'm not OCD. Don't go there. You know, oh, you gotta, but I can't stand sitting. So I have to be actively involved. And this way, you get kind of back into normal. So I'm getting back into normal. This is definitely normal. Warehouses right off the bat, right? But I'm really thankful for the staff. The gifts that you gave me really was encouraging, and I really appreciate it. I'm driving through the city. I can drive now. That's really dangerous because of the way I drive. Yeah, but I appreciate the things that are going on in Paris. And the only thing I would request, and it's not just because I've been away, is an update on actual, I'm not talking about secretive stuff that could come later, actual projects that are signed, ready to build, like apartments on Paris Boulevard. We're desperate need for apartments. A Street apartments, waiting on stuff like that. So things that are in the books, already signed off, already approved, kind of an update, and that may take a while because it's been a while. But you know what I'm talking about, you know, and there's some good things coming. Some things we're not going to announce. I'm not announcing because it hasn't been signed, and so I'm very, but, and you'd be shocked some of the stuff is going to come. But the thing is, what's already in the works, and so we've approved. Whether street conditions, like more on the Nuevo Road project, what that really means, that change, and some of the improvements on Paris Boulevard. I think they were changing a wall. Things I didn't know about, and if I hadn't driven there, I wouldn't know anything about. But anything that could be updated, whether we updated finally finalized the truck route, if that's been finalized, under the Good Neighbor program. I don't have that Good Neighbor program. Well, I want to be a bad neighbor, okay? No. Good neighbor. It's like something out of the 50s, right? 1950s. He's a good neighbor. Yeah. But yeah, anything you could update one, I would appreciate that, Kenneth, and, you know, as soon as possible. And also, lastly, I appreciate Sylvia. She sent the thing about the planning commission. I do intend to be there one way or the other. So register as early as possible. And especially for those that haven't been 8, 9 times like me. It's really good. This might be even more intense because a lot of suggestions came about the previous one. But thank you to staff. Thank you to our secretary, clerk, whatever title you want, for staying awake this long. And hopefully, gradually, I'll get back into things and hopefully get rid of this cane later on. But athletic or anything like that, it takes time to heal and it takes time to get back into things. So you see athletes with it. So I say I'm an athlete and I'm just trying to get back to recover. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, I'm moving on to the next round, and is our director. He's still director, right? And then our planning director, whoever wants to talk. Okay. Kenneth has all these titles now, so we can't talk to him anymore. Ooh.
Okay. Just for quickly my report, I just want to congratulate Commissioner Hammond or Chairman Hammond for returning back to his seat. You were sorely missed, and your voice of leadership, we missed that. Our Vice Chair Shively did a great job in your place. So thank him for taking that lead while you were away. But
Funny, right?
no extra money. He didn't get your stipend for.
Just got the gavel.
Yeah, okay.
every
The gavel.
I have a gavel.
But just I want to thank you. We appreciate you being here, and there was a missing seat there that just it wasn't the same without you here. So I just want to thank you for being back and making all the effort, even though you're not fully 100% yet. But I appreciate that. I just want to mention just the rain that's going on. I know that it can be dangerous out there, but the rain is sorely needed. But just remind everybody, just stay safe. Drive slower than what you normally drive, and just be careful out there. And the last update I want to make is just the Skills Training Center. The groundbreaking is tomorrow, so if you can make it, it would be great. The event will start at 10 a.m. I know there will some refreshments there. I believe the actual groundbreaking start of construction will be in the next 1 or 2 weeks from now. So it's really moving forward, and it should be done within under a year or within a year from the start. So that's where we're at right now. And in terms of just your planning for the Planning Commission meeting, next Planning Commission meeting, we're going to not have one on February 1st. But February 15th, expect a big agenda. So just we try to consolidate where we can and try to maximize everybody's time. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And our city attorney representatives, we appreciate it. He's so nice to us. We got beat up by the other one so much. But no, I love him. So that's why I can say it. Yeah.
Put her on the spot today a couple
No,
times.
we appreciate. I know. We appreciate it. We appreciate all our staff. We really do. And we're rough on staff sometimes, but we care about the city. So we come to city first. We beat up the city people, then we go to developers. What's the matter with these people? Because we care. So if we didn't care, we'd be quiet. Go yes. Yeah. But we're not going to do that. So I appreciate all the patience that our co-commissioners here by being away. I appreciate it. And I wouldn't say that again, but it's time to go home. So I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon, so maybe they'll catch it in. I'll try to make it tomorrow. But thank you to our director, so patient, so calm, so many more responsibilities. You have code enforcement, right? So you still don't have the gray hairs from code enforcement. You'll get them. And thank you for our engineer too. And you haven't left. You still were here after I came back here.
Still here.
Oh, good. I like that, yeah. Okay, well, that is adjournment time, unless someone else has anything else. And get us that updated, and maybe a list of how long. I don't care. We need an update, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yes. I just want to add one thing. Commissioner Jimenez mentioned about the school collective fee. It is collected at every permit for residential, commercial, or industrial. So it's based on a square footage fee. And so those fees could be substantial, but just that's how the school district collects, at least from the development side, to plan for school expansions.
How does it work? Follow-up question. How does that work? Because we have like 3 school districts that we
It goes with
That are local.
whatever school district you're
nearest.
Yeah.
There's a school district boundary map. I don't want to get into all the details, but we can discuss separately. But
Yeah,
there
that
is
would be good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to the audience. Thank you for those that are still here. And with that, adjournment. And I don't know if we're going to have any objections to that. So anybody could be put down if you need a name. We don't care. Thank you. Good seeing you all, too.